prayer, pledge. Director Reynolds, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Absolutely. Dear Lord, we come to you tonight to do the members' work at hauling of our water system. We trust that you will guide us to use the information and execute it wisely. Give us wisdom, watch over our men and women in harm's way, our first responders that do not get enough recognition for the peril that they are in every day, trying to protect us from medical alerts, fires, etc. In your name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Mr. Miller, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a quorum, as all are attending. Audio and video recorders are in use tonight. Anyone who would like to address the board, please be sure that you have filled out the sign-up sheet up front, and please remember that each member has been allotted 3 minutes to speak. So, first up, approval of the minutes and transcripts, the June 25th, 2026 closed executive session, and the June 16th, 2026 regular board meetings and transcripts. Directors, have you had a chance to review those? And could I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and transcripts as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. We have 7 ayes. Approval of memberships. June new memberships, 352. Cancel, 340 with no transfers. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Can we have a vote? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 7 voting aye. Unfinished business. We have the Tom King Bayou Septic to Sewer Project. And in your packets, under unfinished business, item 1, we can see what has been put together by our CEO, Mr. Trigler. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to review that. Let's take a moment and reread it, see if there's any questions.
I don't have any questions. I have one comment. Twice in some of the documentation, it mentions a representative from the city will be part of the decision process or some part of it. There's two separate places where that's in there. I think we need to take another look at that and call that something else, whoever that person might be, but it won't be a city representative.
Agree. I saw the same thing. To me, the key point here is where Jeff has recommended that we extend our finance for this particular project from 24 months to 60 months. Does anyone have any issues with that?
I have no issues with it. Yeah, it's a healthy chunk of change.
Certainly will be. I think at this point, although there's no action that needs to be taken, it's just the question of whether or not anybody has a problem with that. And if not, then we can make the recommendation that Jeff move forward in that direction, and that he make the corrections that Director Miller has mentioned, and I've got a couple of them that I'll give him as well. Any other discussion?
What about the, I agree, I think we want to make it as easy as possible for people to jump on board with this. What about interest-free financing on that? It mentions interest-free, and I think in one other spot it mentions prime plus 2. So are we going to make that decision, or are we going to do that tonight, or are we going to discuss it or not?
I think we should.
Okay.
Good point. I would be in your camp and say no interest. Any other
So-
views?
I would too, and I thought that's what we had mentioned, so a month ago,
Mhm.
when this came up. When we talked about, being able to finance it, I don't remember, an interest rate being mentioned. So maybe it was just an assumption on my part that it'd be interest-free. Since we're getting them in our system, I have no problem with it.
Yeah, so somewhere in the document, I also saw prime plus two mentioned, which,
It is. I
Page
think that's
one,
the
right,
standard
first page.
financing, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
why he left that
It's
in.
in
Mhm.
Jeff's letter too.
Any issues?
I want to ask, what amount are we talking about financing? Can you clarify, Mr. Phillips?
Well, the capacity fee,
Which is,
it depends on how big the house is. I can't remember what the range is. You, Clinton?
No, cannot.
It's right around $4,000 average though, obviously.
well, that's not a huge
No,
amount.
I had 14K in my head
Right,
for some reason.
that's not a huge amount, and if we're going to do
All these
interest,
folks are already on water, so it's just sewer.
if it's interest-free financing, I think 5 years is pretty forgiving. We might consider reducing that a bit if the amount is that. That's the clarification that I needed. Thank you.
The-
Someone probably knows more than me. Is there a
There's-
connection fee associated with it, like a few $100s?
I think it's $700.
Yeah,
It
see,
is.
I would assume that would also be included in there.
4,200 is
Just
for one of the
4,200 for
mid-range
standard,
square
so-
feet.
Mid-range,
So
close to
we've got-
$700.
We've
So-
got 2 more tiers past that, so
So we're probably looking at some in the neighborhood of close to $5,000 for the initial.
it
for
depends on the size of the
average- For
home.
the average home.
Yeah,
So-
one time we had looked at some
Basically
square
1,000 a year.
footages in there, and boy, that has just gone out of my head completely now as to what the average square footage was. But there's several tiers in hauling of ours, capacity fee chart, depending on the square footage of a home.
I
so.
think the average square feet that I seen, looking at the homes in that area, was about 3,500. So it's gonna be a
Will
little
it be
bit
at the
more
high
than,
end?
Yes, they're a bit
It'll be
higher
higher.
end.
it's gonna be at the higher end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're larger homes in that area.
And I can't remember what that fee is. One ERU is
4,200 is the
One year, yeah.
standard one.
Yeah. I think it's 6.
It doesn't go up a whole lot, depending on what the maximum is.
Let me go find it. I'll go print it
Could
off.
we be pushing 6K? Is that within the realm of possibility?
Oh, I don't think we go up that high
I
on
mean,
the
total,
residential side.
like, along with the 700, so it could be.
Oh, yeah,
5K.
so, yes, with the $700 and whatever else.
So if they got close to 60 and you allowed them 5 years, that's $100 a month.
Certainly.
It's not insignificant enough to some people, like me. So that's 2 rounds of golf. I mean, it's a lot of things to a lot of different people.
Right.
And I don't know the demographics of anybody out there, so I don't know how $100 plus a new sewer charge is gonna do to them.
Yeah. Again, I don't think Jeff was advocating for including the interest rate. I think he left it
No.
in there because there had been no direction, and the standard financing, when
Mhm.
it's allowed by the board, is the whatever
plus two.
plus prime.
Mhm.
I think that's why it's in there.
good.
I don't think he would have any problem with the 0 interest. The board hasn't raised the capacity fee in a long time, which begs itself for there to be lower interest rates, since there's not really anything that says it's gonna go up over time, so.
Mr. President, you will note that in the frequently asked questions, number 6, it talks about right of entry. I have drafted a temporary construction easement, which will be required, because we won't do it on just a invite. So Jeff, the CEO has that document, and when we get to that point, that'll be finalized. And the customer, as part of the package, would be required to sign that, so that we would have contractor and the utility covered to be able to access legally the property.
Thank you, Emerald. So, guys, it's $4,200 is the minimum. then up to a 30, that's up to 2250, then above 2250 to 2300 is 56, to 3300, sorry, is
Yeah.
5600, and then above 3300, we would have to do a calculation. So we could easily have customers who are approaching close to $7,000 by the time we add that, plus the $700 initial fee. So we're talking somewhere between roughly 5,000 and 7,000 to come on board that we're willing to finance over an extended period of time. And to Don's point, somewhere between $100 to maybe $150 a month increased cost to get them on board. Myself, I would be in favor of giving them the extended period of time along with the interest-free. But, and again, we're not doing a motion or a board action tonight. We just want to be sure that we give our CEO proper direction so that he can put it together.
And then, Mr. President, to clarify, on page 2 of the property owner information guide, they clarify that for existing members, in addition to the capacity fee, they would pay a refundable sewer deposit of $60 if a renter $80, the installation fee of $700. But if they're not members, then they pay the one-time membership fee of $5 plus the service charge, plus the sewer deposit, installation fee, and the capacity fee.
Is there anybody out there that's not a member?
Should not legally be anyone that's not a member. I
Agree.
haven't caught one of those in a long time, so.
So are we pretty much in agreement on the direction?
Yeah, I like what we agreed to, 5-year interest-free.
If no more discussion, we'll move on to the item number 2 in unfinished business, the Club at Hidden Creek, Hollywood Water System Sprayfield easement, and the work that's been done by our fine attorney, Will. Will, could you take just a moment and walk everyone through the changes and what you're proposing? Again, no board action tonight. We're simply doing information only.
Right, be happy to. Just as background, you know that the Club at Hidden Creek owns the golf course. You own the Club at Hidden Creek. There is in existence an easement that binds the land. This was put in place by the previous owner before you purchased the club. And to clean that up, the direction was to draft a new easement to make sure that none of the kind of idiosyncrasies of that existing agreement continue. So the document that has been drafted is essentially just codifies your practice today. That is, nothing changes in ownership. Club at Hidden Creek still owns everything. It still owns what it calls its irrigation system, which you call your effluent discharge system. And its consideration for the easement is simply the fact that Holly Navarre Water System provides the permitted reclaimed water for effluent discharge, which the club benefits from because it otherwise would have to purchase water to irrigate the course, and in exchange it discharges it. So those are the details. That's the overview. The details are, we do make sure that it is adjusted to the current permit, 1.19. We also indicate in there that, or any additional permitted capacity which the land could receive, which may be in an increased permit, meaning we make it more favorable to the company, as the company being Holly Navarre Water System, because it's a effluent discharge spray field. And then we have the same issues with the wet pond. So you all have to fill in the blanks on how far up and down you want to make sure, and that gets controlled as to how much effluent is being done at any one time, wet weather, dry weather, those kinds of issues. Otherwise, it just got cleaned up, and it will be presented to the management board, Club at Hidden Creek, and if approved, they'll approve it and then send it to you, and you'll accept it, and it'll be done. And then it will replace the one that exists.
Thank you. Any discussion?
And we'll,
I think I missed what I thought was the key change. Did you sitting right here, but I thought the key change that was coming was we were getting rid of the requirement that we had to spray for, if we didn't spray for or didn't discharge for 12 months, or pump effluent over there within a 12-month period at all, the easement was null and void, or the restrictions.
Right,
Something.
that came when I said, and all those idiosyncrasies that are in there now have been eliminated,
Okay.
and that is one of those.
That's one of the idiots.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the only one I knew of.
Yeah, and Will has made it so that, in this situation, it will run with the land in perpetuity, which is exactly what we need to protect the company. So,
I have a question.
sure.
So in the event that we do decide to sell, will we have to draw up another easement? Spray-filled easement?
No, because this would run with the land the same way that the current easement does.
Is that true, Will?
This easement will run with the land, and
Okay.
it will be binding.
Okay.
If you wanted to make any changes before you sold it, then you could do so because you own
Okay,
both
so this
entities.
one
But
Okay, take care
this
of everything.
contemplates an idea that this is the most favorable for the company for fluent discharge. There is no expiration. It runs with the property forever, whenever. And it makes sure that spray fill is the priority.
Okay, thank you.
I have just one question.
Sure.
Is this an exclusive or non-exclusive easement?
No
Meaning
one
can
else
other-
can use it as a spray fill, if that's what you mean.
Any other utilities can be
Right, no,
placed there? Okay.
no. And, you know, I'm a lawyer, so it does not contemplate who pays for what, okay? Were you to sell, we would want to address that, right? So this easement doesn't do that. Its consideration is Holly Navarre provides the club with permitted reclaimed water. And the club wants that because it needs to grow grass. And so that's the benefit that it's willing to sign over an easement to encumber its property. So the consideration is solid. But it keeps the status quo, that is, the club still owns all of that piping and equipment and is responsible for doing the work of putting the reclaimed water onto the ground. Because right now, Holly Navarre puts it in a pond, and then Holly Navarre is done with it. And then the club at Hidden Creek is responsible for pulling it out of that pond and spraying it out over the course. And that would continue. And the agreement is very clear that that's the responsibility of the club at Hidden Creek. And the only time that Holly Navarre would step in, and the document allows, is if the club wasn't doing it, or it was an emergency and they needed help doing it, and the company could step in and do it because it's required, because keep flushing, and we keep needing to discharge reclaimed water. So, I can contemplate, though, if you didn't own both these, if you didn't own that entity, that we would want to have tighter controls on who's paying for what and what that cost was, but that's not contemplated here.
Any other discussion? Again, informational only. And so we would move on to the next order of business, that's new business. Normally the CEO update, and our CEO is not here today. So briefly, we have discovered a anomaly in our corporate taxes that's being looked into by our CPA firms today. And there will be work done by them, and we'll be discussing that at a further date so that we can inform our members as to the go-forward strategy on that. but it's important that everyone understands that we discovered the anomaly and we're on it and we're taking care of it. Number two, community outreach. We discussed this last month. We have a scheduled blood drive on site coming up on August the 4th. It's something that we think that we'll continue to do at least annually going forward. So for anyone who would like to participate, it'll be here August 4th. Everyone's aware that we're moving forward with the SAGE implementation. I believe we had a meeting on that, the kickoff meeting.
I have an update on that, President.
Earlier it was last week, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we'd love to hear an update on that.
Good evening, directors. I've had the privilege of being named project manager on this implementation, and in that spirit, I kind of wanted to give y'all a brief update for this initial month. We did, as the president mentioned, we had the kickoff meeting July 13th, where we were able to confirm that the go-live date would be December 1st. The Cargus team discussed their backgrounds, kind of the overall schedule of their implementation, as well as some of their methodology on what they would be questioning us initially. We provided our sample financials and our updated chart of accounts to Cargus as far as their build phase was concerned coming up. Currently working on a process-based questionnaire for each entity. That's what's taking our efforts right now, and it's a deep dive in entity structure, essentially, so far. With the systems consultant with Cargus, we've scheduled recurring bi-weekly implementation update meetings. That's a mouthful. But each week, Tuesday and Thursday, I will be meeting with them to kind of do an update each week on budget, the implementation process, and so forward. That next is scheduled on the 28th, next Tuesday. And moving forward, I will provide progress reports in regards to those budget figures and implementation in your packet. Happy to be here.
Thank you for that. Questions?
Thank you.
Yes, Don.
So I sat in on the kickoff, and the only thing I'd like to mention is the questionnaire process that's underway.
It
or
is.
about to be kickoff, is intended to be the first strike at documenting the requirements for the system. That's all. I just wanted to get that out, because there'll be a couple of things I'll discuss later.
And very fluid, absolutely. If a first strike is a good way to put it. You know, we've given it our best attempts so far to be thorough and direct, but as Don mentioned, you know, this will certainly be our initial effort, and we're anxious to hear their feedback.
Any other discussion, comments, questions? Thank you for that. Strategic plan implementation. I know last meeting we had a discussion about that, and we were moving forward with the team at the wastewater treatment plant. I don't think we have any update to that as of tonight. Do you remember anything with that, Mark?
No, I don't think there's anything new.
And then finally, no real update to the legal expense we have going on with Romy White. We're still sitting at $47,328.51.
Can I ask Mr. Dunaway if he could give us an update on where that is and what the timeline is as of today?
Yes, it's at the First District Court of Appeals, and the timeline is in their capable hands. Nothing has happened, and nothing will happen until they sit and rule and
Okay.
make a decision. We don't have an input into it, and we can't speed it up.
Okay.
Let me piggyback on that. Do they have frequent, Mr. Dunaway, meetings during the year that are scheduled, or do they meet when they feel like it? The First District Court of Appeals.
There are audio and video recorders in use. No, I mean, the court systems in Florida do yeoman's work with a lot of docket and a lot of cases. The court sits regularly, and they process their cases according to their priorities and the system priorities. Remember, they're hearing everything from, you know, death commutations to, you know, damage claims. So there's a lot of issues. It is not surprising that we haven't heard anything on this case yet. It will not be surprising if we hadn't heard anything in this case in 6 months. Appeals at the first DCA take 1 to 3 years.
And that was the answer to my question. So they're triaging it, and it could be years. Thank you.
Correct.
Okay, moving on to our director's update. We'll start with Director Linnell for the Finance Committee update.
Okay. Stephanie, can you go over the CIP?
Yep, so our CIP meeting this month, our largest and really my only update for tonight is going to be for the master booster pump station over behind the Publix area. Project is progressing, it's gaining momentum, moving along as it should. It is still behind schedule, but the contractor is working really diligently to get that done in a timely manner, so that's all I have for CIP.
Pam couldn't make the meeting this week, or last week, sorry, so I'll cover quickly. There really isn't anything. Everything's pretty much on budget. Our O&M, no big surprises. 500K profit again this past month. Not as much as the month before, but we had a big influx of money from the Eglin reuse projects. We didn't have that. Did have a little bonus from Florida Blue, reducing our group insurance, so we got a little rebate there. So the expenses were down a little bit, but otherwise things are for the most part, right on budget. Anything on pension, Pam?
We didn't have a meeting
Okay.
this month, but it's, from what I understand, it's the same. There hasn't been any kind of change or anything on the pension plan. And also, I wasn't able to attend the benefits committee last Thursday as well, so I won't have any updates on that
Okay.
Thank you, Director Hardy.
Director Linnell, could you state, I don't recall the reimbursement on the medical, the lack of claims. Do you recall the amount? Was it something like 68 or 78,000 or something? Or
67,000, but it wasn't a rebate. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's a credit. So,
okay, a credit. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Director Lindsay, can you walk us through the club at Hidden Creek?
Yeah, so the patio project for the club at Hidden Creek has been completed. Really nice non-slip coating done out on the patio, and the drainage is all corrected out there. Potentially a request to kind of extend that coating into some of the other areas on the exterior, just because it works really well for non-slip surfaces. In other exciting news, the new food and beverage manager has started, Mr. Corey Dates. Wonderful, real keen, real sharp, and ready to go hit the ground running. And the entrance sign renovation project, staff is still working with the designer to get an update on that design. Had some discussion about what we'd like to see on it, specifically the wording golf course to denote that it's a golf course. So that's still moving forward. That's all the updates I have for the golf course.
Thank you, Director Lindsay. Now for Fairpoint Regional, Director Miller.
Yes, Fairpoint meets next Tuesday, but at our June meeting, Fairpoint is in the process of acquiring a piece of land, a 10-acre parcel for the purposes of installing a new well. There'll be some contingencies that go along with that for testing it, putting in a test well, and some expenses involved in testing it to make sure it'll be adequate for what we need, but we're definitely moving forward with that project, so that's all I have.
Thank you. And now for Messi, Mr. Phillips.
We've been having a heck of a quarter. We're almost back in that situation of wanting another engineer, or getting to the point where we have to pass up some new work. We acquired a pretty major new client this past quarter, and we're having a conversation next week while we're in Daytona, Florida Rural Water, with another potential client. I'm not sure whether they have in mind a continuing relationship or just a significant project that they have going on. But we continue to replace work at a greater rate than we're prosecuting it. So I hate to say these things out loud because inevitably something falls off the table as soon as I do, but we've been having a heck of a quarter. So.
Make sure you put your salesman hat on when you go down there.
So is that project in the Daytona area?
No, sir.
Or is it just happening, you don't talk about some other conference?
No, it's here in this area.
Okay.
It's actually a project that's been mentioned previously in the news, and I'm not gonna say it out loud because then the whole world knows what I'm talking about. But it's here in Northwest Florida. We try not to go too far past. We'll go to Tallahassee, but we're not going much further than that.
So, Mr. Phillips, you had about 12 months when you were avidly seeking a civil engineer. You've just succeeded in getting one. Do you anticipate that same length of time to acquire another one, and is that your intention?
What a loaded question. We are almost always looking for qualified people, engineers, not just engineers, but other positions too, draftsmen as well. It is just.
Well, you got a good one with the woman you just hired.
We hit a home run big time.
We work 3 times as hard.
Yeah, no, we hit a home run. We hit a home run there, and you don't do that every time. But we're always entertaining, people that are interested. We haven't had very good luck advertising for the position. Now, she did come as a result of an advertisement and someone mentioning to her that we were looking. But, yeah, we're always looking, and I don't know if we'll find someone or not, if you really want to know the truth. I hate to get in a position where we have to turn down work or tell someone, we can't prosecute it in the time frame they'd like to have it prosecuted, but sometimes that's just where you get, so.
But you caveated that vacancy with wanting experience, so that's one of the limiting factors, right?
Yes, ma'am. We have a limited ability to have too many people we're training at one time. It kind of takes away from getting the work done. My preference right now would be someone with 4 to 5 years experience. But again, we consider what we can find. If it's a qualified person, that would fit in with us.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Move into item number 3, finance, a review of the unaudited May 2026 financials. Barbara, that's you.
All right, I will just expand a little bit of what, to add to Dawn's report. For the month of May, we had a total revenue of $1,521,040.55. Total expenses of $982,472.91, with a total net operating income of $538,567.64. Water and wastewater system capacity fees were up from previous year. Water and wastewater sales were up from previous year. Total revenue is at budget at 42%. G&A expenses are under budget at 36%. Water expenses under budget at 40%, with wastewater expenses under budget at 34%. Great month. Concludes my report.
Thank you.
the graph up there at any point? I was, did you,
My clicker's not working.
Uh-uh.
does that mean no?
It's up there. I just have to get to it.
Oh. That's past it though, right? The income statement? I mean, if you can't go up, that's fine. Okay, I can, if you got a minute, I mean, there's things been thinking about. One, so our chart shows what happened 2 years ago, last year, and where we are now. We can discuss it all you want this time, but I'm not for making a motion tonight, but it's something I want the rest of the board to think about. I personally, and I don't know why anybody else would, except because that's the way we've done it. I don't care what we did last year or the year before. The only thing that matters is what are we doing now. I'd just like a cleaner graph showing this is how we laid out the budget, even if it's a flat line. This is where the budget was or is, and here's how we're performing to it. So that one chart that's, got the 3 lines, I'm gonna propose that we go to just one, well, 2, the plan and where we are. So food for thought there. The other one's a little bigger. Balance sheet, where's the income sheet? Okay, so we've got balance sheet and income sheet for the income statement. One for hauling of our water, and I think one for Messy, and one each for Club at Hidden Creek. Okay. I want you all to think about what I'm going to try and persuade us to do over the next month and talk and make motions next month is I would like a balance sheet and an income statement for each cost center. And in my mind, the cost centers here are water and wastewater. When they're all together, you can't tell if one's doing real well and the other's holding us back, nothing. And Messy's only got the one, or at least in my mind, or fortunately small enough to, if something's out of whack, we could probably see it. But
It's half a page, so.
Yeah,
I don't know how much more we break that up.
yeah, the Club at Hidden Creek, I could see golf, maintenance, food and beverage, and then other thing to talk about that I'm open to, or the management board could tell us. I mean, the TCHC management board can tell us, is pro shop retail stuff separate or in with golf or whatever. But the main thing is I'd like to see a balance sheet and an income statement for each of those cost centers, as I'm terming them right now. The G&A stuff gets proportioned over, either do based on last year's revenues, this year's revenue, this year's expenses, but I just want them broke out to where we can see how each one is performing independently. That's it. Like I said, if you want to discuss, we can. And not being a finance guy, I can't say that's how I used to do it. All I know is that's what I used to see in my other life. And yeah, quite frankly, it wasn't always nice to be singled out as a cost center going, you guys are not doing well. So, but it was needed. So that's all.
The income statement breaks out the water expense, wastewater expense, G&A, on the expenses. Are you asking for a balance sheet or an income statement change?
Both. I want one for each cost center.
So you're wanting the revenue split out as to water revenue
And wastewater revenue to the different centers. So we can see not only where's the revenue, but where's the expenses.
So you want to departmentalize each of the operations that have separate operational expenses and appropriately allocate administration expenses to each of those departments, so that basically an income statement would read, this is the income and this is the expense. So if I were thinking water, I would have water income, water expense, water, whatever the savings would be at the end of the day. I don't want to use the word profit, but whatever the savings are, or the total loss. And the same thing on the wastewater side, wastewater income, because it is a separate line item, and wastewater expense, along with the associated breakouts of all of the administrative expenses that go to each setup. And then the same thing for the club would be F&B, golf, and then grounds would simply be an expense category. There's no income statement for that. I'm not sure that that's a doable thing, and I'm certainly, in what we're doing with the new software, that ought to be part of the conversation on how we want to set up the future. I don't know that I want to do it on the existing software, but we have an opportunity now with the new software to set it up that way and to allocate appropriately and do it that way. To Mark's point, though, I don't know that we can easily break up a balance sheet for each one. So I would defer to the software developers to come back and tell us that in their program. Certainly, we need to make sure that the expenses that are for various things within the balance sheet are properly allocated to the appropriate department. Does that make sense?
We've
So
certainly.
a tractor would show up on the balance sheet for the club, but the cost and expense of that tractor would be allocated to grounds maintenance as opposed to just general expense.
My concern is trying to split out expenses as to, you know, which ones are wastewater, which ones are water. And, you know, because there are, I'm sure, a number of things that are used for both water and wastewater. So how do you allocate, you know, those expenses on those income statements? I have a feeling that's gonna get pretty messy and might be time consuming to do.
Are we already separating the expenses for the wastewater and the, I thought I
We
saw
do
that.
for the most part, but
That's what
Mark hit it, is there's several expenses, there's a lot of expenses that can be used either way.
Right.
And G&A, how do you allocate G&A between
G&A is the biggest issue.
water and wastewater? You know, it's,
Is intertwined?
With the ratio of people, there's all sorts of ratios you can pick. That's, I'm not pushing back, that's just an answer. But there's all sorts of ratios you can pick for splitting that up.
And being an accountant for a government entity, I like the comparison to see what we did last year in comparison to what we did this year. Not necessarily to the budget, but to make sure that we're in line with what the expenses are or what the revenues are. And then that kind of tells me, like, if there's a difference with the expenditures, I can go back last year and see why it was more expensive than this year. So I like the comparison. Now, as far as the
But we don't have,
chart,
to your point though, we don't have expenses on that chart. We only
yeah, on
have-
that chart,
we
I
only
don't look
have
at that
profit.
chart, but I do compare on the spreadsheet we received. The finance spreadsheet
I mean,
with comparison to the budget.
during the finance meetings, that's fine. I wouldn't want to change anything except that graph as far as what we do in the O&M meeting, if that's what you're
Yeah.
talking about. No,
Okay.
I'm talking about for when we're in here.
So I think the ask is everyone consider this request, and then we can discuss it further next month after finance has had an opportunity to go back and have the conversations with our new software. I certainly don't want to burden us with trying to rework the old software.
No, I don't want to interject, but we've actually had that conversation preemptively, and
Good.
we've got those wheels turning, sir.
Which,
So-
may I ask which conversation?
The conversations that we've had during our demos.
Breaking out the different departments.
Absolutely.
And
Just
allocating
in-
That's what I meant.
appropriately.
What was the topic of those conversations?
Anticipating possible change with how budget was allocated.
Okay.
Mr. President, I think the comparisons, as Director Hardy said, would be very helpful, and I think it would also make us all better managers if that were delineated so that we can track. Now, I understand there are some overlaps, as Barbara talked about the G&A, but ultimately, long-term, as the software evolves and we evolve, I think it would make us better managers of each respective entity.
Well, I don't disagree at all. I would even go a little further and ask that as we're building the new income statements, we ought to have the current period and how it compares to last year's current period and how it compares to the agreed upon budget for this year. Because if I had budgeted $10,000 for shoes, I'd like to know that I only spent $6,000 so far, or I'd like to know if we spent $12,000 so far. And it would be great to be able to see that last year we only spent $5,000 in shoes, see? So we should have those conversations as we're building out the revised reporting so that we can really satisfy both. We should be able to compare what our performance is to our agreed upon budget and be able to say this is how we compare to the previous year. I'm way in Don's cap. I don't know that we care about 2, 3, 4 years down the road.
And it allows for
Some.
course corrections along the way.
Yes, of course.
So the only thing I wanted to make sure everybody's clear, that chart,
That's when you're
it's right there. That is the only place I'm talking about. I don't care what we did the last 2 years. Just show me what our budget was this year and how we are doing compared to that budget. I mean, that doesn't break out. It tells you overall profit. It doesn't break out revenue, doesn't break out expenses. It just says, how much did we make this past month? And I want to know how much we made this past month compared to what our plan was, not what happened a year ago when weather was different, or 2 years ago when, who knows what happened and something was broke. I just don't care. On that chart and that chart alone. That's it.
I guess one final thing, because I hear it over and over again, we are a not-for-profit entity, and so we should refrain from using the term profit. We are a not-for-profit entity. If we have excess funds, that's savings over expenses, that will be used to further the maintenance and development of the system. So let's make sure in all our reporting, as we're talking with the software company, we don't have profit.
It's a good distinction.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Only that we're also a not for loss.
We'd like to be, not for loss. So,
I don't think we had approved the financial
We did
statements,
not.
so I'll make a motion to approve the May 2026 financial statements as presented.
can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I got a question. I'm sorry, Barbara, I felt like I interrupted. Are we done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. And the ayes have it, 7 ayes. Oh, let's move on to the Benefits Committee PTO donation policy. Hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to read through that. So Barbara, I had a question, because I know you were originally participating in some of those conversations. The policy is written, have you had a chance to review whether or not that is in line with Florida statutes and in line with federal regulations as it relates to IRS reporting of hours given and hours received? And what type of issue would have to occur in an employee's life to pull from the pool so that it would meet the IRS regulations?
You're asking me?
I'm sorry, Pam. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Barbara.
Oh, sorry.
Ms. Hardy, I apologize. You were
Barbara had
on
that
my
deer in the-
mind,
deer
Barbara.
in the headlights there.
I know, you were on my mind.
She was ready. She was like, all right.
Director Hardy, should I repeat that? Or did you get it all?
I'm not exactly sure what the regulations are. I do know that there are a lot of companies that participate in this. And so, do you know, Emerald, exactly what the regulations are on the PTO pool?
I can't name them off the top of my head, but we did look at those and the FDLR and other companies that do the PTO donation pools. And we did as best we could, and our HR department was heavily involved as well, reviewing some of them for their policies. So we didn't have any that we thought that it was going against, but we're open to changes.
Is it something we asked legal to review to make sure that we were staying within IRS regulations and within Florida law?
Did you get a chance to review it?
Happy to review it.
I-
What was not at, but happy to review it.
Okay.
I think if someone receives some PTO, they're getting paid, it's gonna be reported on their W-2 or 1099, whatever they get, the tax form at the end of the year. So as long as any income they receive is reported on that and they pay taxes on it, it's gonna comply with the law. I'm happy to let legal look further into it, but, it basically boils down to that.
It should. I agree with you. There's a couple of instances that are specifically called out by IRS regulations, along with restrictions on the employee who's giving time and how many hours they have to keep. So it would be prudent of us to make sure that we are meeting the letter of the law for both the federal standards and for Florida law before we move forward with that.
Mr. President, just a cursory check here says that, and as I said, cursory, Florida has no state laws requiring or regulating PTO payouts for medical emergencies or leave donations, leaving that entirely to employer discretion. However, under IRS rules, structured donation programs must fit specific exceptions to avoid negative tax consequences for the employee, and I assume that'll all be reviewed when Mr. Dunaway takes a glance at it.
We need a motion on this? Because it sounds like we're not going to approve it per se.
I would say we should table it until next month, after legal review.
I'll have a legal review before your next month meeting.
Thank you. Moving on, Florida's Great Northwest Holly Navarre Water System participation. So in a nutshell, our CEO would like to attend a regional economic development organization. It's 13 county regions in the Florida Panhandle. It's a leadership position with Leadership Northwest Florida. Personally, I think that would be good for our CEO and good for Holly Navarre Water System. It certainly puts them in contact with other people doing similar work and gets us involved in knowing the direction that the Panhandle is moving in. Fiscal impact's $3,000. It does require quite a bit of time for our CEO, and the ask here is that we approve him moving forward with that, and then I would end up signing a letter of recommendation for him to be accepted.
I'll make a motion that we authorize CEO to participate in this program and cover the cost of $3,000 for that, and execute a letter of support.
I will second that motion, but I would like to entertain and provide some inputs for discussion.
We have a motion and a second, and now discussion.
As a graduate of Leadership Santa Rosa and an alum, that is an excellent program. And I understand that some of the staff here, waiting in the wings to move up into senior management, are attending Leadership Santa Rosa. So at some point in the future, when our CEO, Mr. Krigler, graduates from Florida's Great Northwest, I would think it would behoove him to also attend Leadership Santa Rosa and be in there with all the movers and shakers and leaders to be and current leaders, because a lot gets done, and relationships and all types of things are a result of those connections that are made during these type forums. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, 7 ayes. Next up, Messie's insurance renewal. Mr. Phillips, can you walk us through that?
It's that time of year. This is the renewal of all our insurance policies, except, Barbara, catch me if I'm wrong, crime, environmental, and most importantly, officers and directors. Those three policies are on a 3-year policy that don't expire until 28.
Correct.
So this is all the general liability, the automotive, the workers' comp, and most importantly, our professional liability. The premium actually changed after you got your board packet, and I think Emerald sent just the one page that had the final number on it. There's several numbers that are floating around here that are incorrect, but the correct old premium number and the new premium number are on that page that you were handed. There's practically no change between the policy premiums. Surprisingly, a couple of them went down, which I truly didn't expect. But anyway, unless somebody wants me to go into greater detail on one or all of them specifically, I'll just entertain questions from there.
I'm not sure I got, Mr. Phillips, a sheet unless it's in my packet.
It's a
in the
little
folder.
confusing in the
Okay.
way this is written. Is the renewal premium 39,215.28 or 36,972?
36,900 and some, I've got it here in front of me.
7254.
36,972.54.
So it's not an increase, it's a decrease.
No, I'm not sure that increase change, I'm not sure where that number came from. It may have been an earlier iteration, but I believe that in that premium summary page that has the new total, the previous premium for what's expiring appears to be correct there, so that is the difference between the policies. Now, the 3,000 may have included the previous change in the officers and directors, I'm not sure, so.
Well, and I got the same question. I think what Rob is saying is, our paperwork, this paperwork, without digging through again, the premium total for the current period is 39,215, which reflects an increase of 32,700.
I don't believe that is correct.
You found it?
If someone, I don't have the summary sheet in front of me.
The summary sheet says that the expiring premium, the total was $35,886.07.
Correct.
And the renewal premium is $36,972.54, which
That
is
is
a difference of
correct.
a little over $1,000.
That is correct. As best I
Is that
know,
number correct?
I don't know where the previous two number differences came from.
Right.
Unless, again, they include the difference in the officers and directors, which is not up for renewal right now. So, and I don't know if you know where that math came from originally either. So,
And so, Mr. Phillips, just to clarify, these premiums are paid in totality by Holly Navarre Water System or by Messi, or are they portioned?
They're paid by municipal engineering.
Messi pays all of these?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? We have a motion?
Now I'll make a motion, we approve Messi Insurance policy renewals from Underwood Anderson as presented in the amount of $36,972.54, and somebody can confirm that that's correct.
Second.
We have a motion, I have a second. Any more discussion? Could I have a vote? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, 7 ayes. Which brings us to the engineering report. Anything additional aside from your original report, Mr. Phillips?
I&I is looking good. I know Mark has been focused a little bit on the rain. Nothing really to report there, yet, but, on water loss, I think we continue to struggle with the reporting from the old software in terms of actual water use in the period that agrees with sales and the operations report. But we do know that we've got some water loss that's greater than normal. However, we've found a couple of leaks that Clinton's guys, I know they fixed one previously, and I think today they were focused on another one. And then there's a valve somewhere that's been leaking, and Clinton can speak to them better than I can, but we kind of hope we've resolved those water loss issues with those leaks, and we'll know in 30 days whether or not we did or not.
Whether it's making a difference or not.
Yeah.
But they were,
We did find some sneaky leaks,
yeah.
one of the kinds that hide, until you have some reason to be right there at the right time to see what's going on, so, anyway.
And when you get rain like this, it softens the ground so the water actually will come to the surface.
Comes down.
We've been fine. We actually found 3 today.
Well, you have that sophisticated equipment that Messi came up
That's for
with.
sewer. Yeah.
Only sewer.
Yeah, we, unfortunately, for water, there's not really equipment we can use to find it. There are hydrophones that you can use in certain situations, but in our system, they're of little value, so we just have to find them. Sometimes they can be big enough to affect Clinton's loss, but so small and in such weird locations that, until they decide to come to the surface, you just don't know they exist, so.
We see it on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did I hear, the ones you found today were all sewer?
No, they were
No,
water.
Okay.
We don't want that.
Yeah.
Guys, is there any update on Eglin Ribs?
Yeah, we're very close to the end of that project. Power is primarily the holdup right now, believe it or not. FPL continues to be a royal pain in a couple of locations, so, anyway.
I mean, as far as providing power or other ways?
Getting it to us, dropping the service to us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I gotta make the transformer hot, and we can start connecting everything in the plant.
I was just reviewing your last report here on reuse limits in our current, so we're at 88.2% to permit, right?
Keep in mind, however, that on that operations report that you see, we report versus permitted location, not the overall system permit that Hauling of R maintains. And just to go over that very briefly one more time, Hauling of R acquired an area-wide permit in the past that allowed a combined discharge greater than the individually permitted sites in recognition that there might be additional capacity there. They did reduce that overall capacity from our last permit to this permit, but that combined permit limit exceeds the individual permits which we're addressing on the sheet. So we're showing you the most conservative calculation on that sheet. Just as we expect that it's possible that one day the area-wide, the way it's issued, could be changed, and you could end up going back to a religious observance of what the individual permitted capacities are. So that is why we present it that way, so.
Understood. Thank you. And now we'll move on to our member forum. And Mr. Horde, Lee Horde, if you would, when you get to the podium, state your name and your service address, please.
Hello, I am Lee Horde, and my address is 8253 Navarre Parkway in Navarre, Florida, 32566. Mr. President, honorable board members, this is in regard to the attorney's fees. So I'd like to make a recommendation. Is that okay? All right. So my recommendation is to adopt a litigation cost recovery and risk management program consisting of annual litigation review, insurance coverage audit, aggressive pursuit of recoverable fees and costs where legally available, mandatory mediation policy, public reporting of litigation expenses, legislative advocacy for stronger protections of member-owned utilities in Florida. This approach protects ratepayer dollars while avoiding policies that could discourage legitimate legal claims. Furthermore, I'd like to work on a draft of a formal policy of litigation management, cost recovery, and protection of ratepayer funds, which would include the best practices from other public utilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Next we have Ms. Amanda Hood. If you would, when you approach the podium, state your name and your service address, please.
Hi, I am Amanda Hood. I am at 7579 East Bay Boulevard. And I am here today. Hi, board. Good evening. Never done this before. I am here to discuss a claim that I filed back in November of 2025 that is still ongoing. And I kind of want to explain the situation. So when I reached out for the claim, I believe in January, I filed the claim in November, finally got a response in January, the 7th of January, from the CEO regarding it. And let me just pull up things so I don't forget what I'm saying. So I had construction done right in front of my house, like directly in front of my house. I don't know what they were doing because I don't know all this stuff, but all I know is that they dug in the dirt in front of my house and they damaged a pipe. And so from what I was told by your office after getting the septic, so I have a septic pump or a grinder pump that goes in a sewer. In November, so the construction was done at the beginning of the year. In November, my pump alarm would not stop going off. I am a single family home. I live by myself, so I was really confused why that was happening. I'm never home. Shower at work, all that. And so I called a plumber because I didn't know what else to do. Again, I live alone. I'm a female, right? So called a plumber to come have a look at it on a Sunday, and they determined that the pump was not, it looked like the pump was not strong enough to push it out. And he said, from what I remember, I believe that Holly Navarre just recently changed the lines. And so I was like, okay, before you do any work, let me call them and see if maybe they can work out something. And then when I called, I was sent over to whoever does the work on the lines, and they informed me nothing was changed, right? And instead of saying, hey, nothing was changed, but maybe we can send someone out to come take a look, they just said nothing was changed. So what was my next step to do? I had to go to the bathroom, have to go to the shower on the weekends, right? So I called the plumber back, had them come. The next day they came and they changed out the grinder pump. I don't know if I'm calling it the right thing. I don't know all these terms, but grinder pump, all right? So they come. I was going to be out the $4,000. I got the cheapest one possible. I was okay with it. They come, they replace the pump. Guess what happens? Still not pumping. Still not pushing out the drain. So they called the city. City came over the next day and dug tons of holes in my yard to try to find where the main was. Turns out that the main line was broke during the construction earlier that year. And they did a quick fix is what the people that came out and did the work, looked like they had done a quick fix. That fix broke and it caused my pump to work extremely hard and eventually go out. So the pump, when he pulled it out, he said it was like swollen pretty much from the overworkage. So I reach out for my claim, and I am informed that the contractors were willing to pay $3,000 or $2,000, so half of the amount. And I am not okay with that because at the end of the day, the plumber was not at fault. I was not at fault. The main being broken was what was at fault. So that is what I'm here for, to try to get the full amount. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Hood, before you, so are you telling us that you replaced 2 grinder pumps?
I replaced one. So I was, sorry. I've never done this before. I don't usually do
That's okay.
claims. Usually I
You're
just
okay.
fix
You're
things.
okay.
Yeah, so I replaced one grinder pump because at the end of the day, I was told nothing was changed by the lines. And so at the end of the day, my pump wasn't working. The alarm was continuing to go off no matter what I did. And so I replaced it. It cost about $4,000 to replace it. But then once it was replaced, the water still wasn't pumping out. And so when the city came the next day, they found out that the main was actually broken, which is what caused my first pump to break. Because it was overworking and wasn't able to go anywhere because the main line was broken.
Just another question. When the plumber was there diagnosing the problem, did he do anything to determine that something was going on between the pump and the main line? Did he put a camera down in there? Did he do anything to see why the back pressure was too much for the pump?
He did not. He just went inside to see why it wasn't pushing. And his initial thought was that it wasn't strong enough. But when he came back the next day to fix it, he actually didn't install a strong one. He just installed a normal one because when I called the city and informed him what the city said, he just assumed maybe the pump was old and just wasn't working anymore. Because at that point, that's why we bought the lowest pump possible,
Well, I
because
understand.
city told me that there was no changes to the lines.
So he replaced the part before diagnosing the real problem?
I guess so.
Okay.
And Ms. Hood, preliminarily, my understanding was that the contractor that broke some lines and Holly Navarre Water System have come forward in an effort, a good faith effort, to try to resolve this and meet you halfway. Is that correct?
So they did try to meet me halfway, and I think the reason that I'm upset about the halfway part is, yes, maybe the plumber didn't do the proper diagnosing, but no matter what he would have done, the pump, when he finally did go in it, the pump was completely destroyed. So now, no matter what, it would have had to been replaced. So, because it was, like he said, it was completely swollen from all the overwork it was trying to do.
And the offer at this point was, to your knowledge, the contractor was going to pay what amount?
So they were going to pay $2,000, and then when I kept pushing, Mr. Jeff said that he would be willing to add an additional $500 on top of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
Yeah,
Ladies?
I got one, just out of curiosity. Did you have one? Mark?
No.
Oh. So you mentioned the city came out and dug up. What city?
Um,
And I'm not trying to be facetious, I just wonder who came out and dug up?
so
talking about-
he,
That's Holly Navarre.
Okay.
yeah,
Alright.
so he called the city, so Holly Navarre Water System,
Okay,
and they came out the next day to diagnose it.
all right, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
We'll have to confer. I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Could I have a motion to end the meeting? Motion to
Mr.
adjourn.
President, I have a couple. And can you hear us clearly? The business that we are conducting is, can you nod whether you can hear us? And if you can't, can you raise? Okay. All right, all right. And,
I can hear you, it's okay.
okay. And my second question is, on behalf of the members, we have a website, and I'm hoping we can get some answers here. We have a website for Holly Navarre Water System, and there's a search block there, a search engine, but it's very difficult to find things. How could we get a more effective search engine for our members on that website?
Yeah, IT would have to take a look at that, I think.
Okay, how do we make that happen?
What are they specifically looking for?
Doesn't matter, but it doesn't delve into any specifics. It's just, you have to look, if you're looking for minutes, you have to know what minutes you're looking for. If you're looking for a certain subject, it returns nothing. It is not a comprehensive search engine.
So I think that's because a lot of the minutes and other attachments are PDFs. So it should search for whatever's on the website, whatever text is on the website, but it's not going to look into the text of the PDF. So that has to be a search in each of those documents.
Right, so it's basically useless to the members because it can't look introspectively into the documents.
So when they search for like services or cost of services, if they have keywords, like the engineers use it or the contractors use it quite a bit, it does pull up whatever's in the text of the website pretty well. If it's not working, we recommend like the cookies or the cache be cleared, and then it works well. But that's just a website versus Adobe PDF issue.
Okay, I'll look more into that and perhaps give you all some more information, because it's really hard for folks, even me as a board member, to find stuff, so thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Would you restate your motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Adjourned.